Welcome to the RPGBOT.Podcast. I'm Randall James, and with me is Tyler Kamstra.
Hi, everybody.
And Ash Eli.
I'm not quite dead.
Yes, you are.
I'm getting better.
Always classic.
Yeah, I did a Monty Python bit last week. Felt right to do another one this week.
Sure did.
Can't wait till we talk about farming. Tyler, what are we doing tonight?
Help, I'm being repressed.
Well, bring out your dead. Tonight we're going to talk about resurrection mechanics. We did an episode last week. I don't know when this is going to release. We did an episode recently about death mechanics. So this time we're going to talk about coming back from the dead. And I'm not talking about not zombie come back from the dead. The kind that you want. The kind that the necromancer wizard in your party is not trying to push on you.
So the kind society, for the most part, accepts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's bringing back the pilot.
Bringing back the pilot. I feel like that's a reference to something and it's going right over my head.
No. Just, no reference, but generally, right? Like our anime deads, these things that it's like, okay, look, I've got a zombie. I'm very undead. I've got two modes, which are hungry and crawly versus I don't have the energy to control you or to tell you what to do. That only scales so far. So instead, I'm going to bring back the pilot. We're going to get the soul back in here, put it back in the body, have them get things done that need to get done. If there's not a body, I'll burn currency until I get a body.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Why not? Burn currency until you get a body. I think that's how that works. Don't tell me if I'm wrong. So let's ask quick fundamental question. Do our games actually need mechanics for raising the dead?
Not necessarily, no. Sometimes it's okay for death to be permanent if that's the way that you want to run your game. But if you do want to run your game that way, just make sure you let your players know that beforehand, because that's not going to be a fun revelation.
Yeah, I think that captures it pretty nicely. Whether or not you're going to have the ability to raise the dead is a great topic for your session 0. Games like D&D and Pathfinder frequently have these mechanics available, so being raised from the dead is usually available to characters who reach a sufficiently high level. Now, that's not true of every fantasy game. Like lower fantasy games, there's not going to be a press here to raise this person from the dead button. There might be more elaborate options, or it just might not be a thing. One Ring, there's no spells, so there's no spells to raise people from the dead.
Yeah.
Good example.
Super easy to die, super easy to stay dead.
Yes.
Eliminating resurrection from your toolkit can definitely make things more threatening, and it can make death, I feel, a bit more meaningful in a lot of ways. Or if you don't want to completely eliminate death entirely, resurrection entirely, making resurrection difficult or rare is also a way that you can do it.
Do we consider making it a very high spell level sufficiently rare and expensive?
Once you're at that level, I don't want to say that it's rare or expensive, but you're at that level. If you can find the resources, you can do it. And if you're at that level, you can probably come up with the resources. So effectively, once you're there, it's no longer rare. On the flip side, if I'm level 3 peasant running around stabbing things and dying, where am I going to find a wizard or a cleric at an appropriate level that's going to take care of this for me? I know you have Wish, right? Friend?
Wish I did.
Wish you weren't so dead, bud.
Yeah, it is something you have to consider. If you make resurrection magic readily accessible, then you have to think about what implications that has for your world. Revivify in 5th edition is not that high level of a spell. It's probably something your local cleric could do. Obviously, it has a short time frame that you have to do it in. If your dad just has a heart attack, do you just take him to the local church to get revived? And death is not really an issue in this world, unless you die of old age or some other reason. And then the other questions that come into play are who decides how to rate diamond? How much are diamonds actually worth in this society, especially if it's such a valuable commodity and it's also readily accessible? Who decides how expensive each diamond is, and what diamond is worth 300 gold pieces, and why?
I love that you've asked that question, and I have a prepared answer for you. Luckily, all the modules that we run don't tell you how many diamonds you found. What they tell you is that you found 1,000 gold worth of diamonds, or 1,600 golds worth of diamonds, or 16,000 silver pieces worth of diamonds. Why? I don't know. I don't know why they're doing that weird currency thing. The reality is there aren't a fixed number of diamonds in that sack, depending on market fluctuations. If you open that sack one day and diamonds are up, there's going to be like half a diamond in there. But on a really sad day for diamonds, you open it up, it's just chock full.
So what you're saying is how expensive or how difficult a resurrection ritual is dictated by the stock market on diamonds.
Well, it's kind of the opposite because you're always carrying around like a 1,000 gold pouch full of diamonds. Just whatever's in there, that's what we're giving up. Like, give me the pouch. It's like, well, just half the pouch. I thought it was a good day. Nope, whole pouch. Period.
Yeah, I mean that would be interesting. Like you carry with you enough diamonds for a revivify, but then when it comes to revive your friend, it's like, oh, because of inflation, your diamonds are actually only worth 100 gold pieces.
Oh no!
Tough luck. Well, see you in hell, literally.
Well, I mean, the value of a gold piece hasn't changed. Something gold standard.
Yeah.
I don't know how economics work.
A bunch of libertarians just got very excited.
It's like, I'm not sure if to be excited or offended. Figure it out by the end of the show.
Yeah.
We'll tell you in the exit.
If it's any better,
please.
Most of the spells actually require diamond dust, not a diamond of such and such value.
That doesn't solve the problem because, again, who is pricing the diamond? Is it a divine sort of rating system, or is it like Randall said? Is it based off of like the fluctuating economics of the world? Because if it's divine, then even if like the diamond dust you have would be worth in the market like maybe 50 gold pieces, the divine are like, no, that's always going to be 30 gold pieces. But then that also affects the price because people want it more because of the resurrection. So makes my brain explode.
Yeah, I have to say, like, there's two kinds of folks at home. There's folks at home where it's like they're loving this and they're having a great time and this is great. And these are the big questions. These are the ones we have to answer. There's other people. It's like, you haven't even named any spells yet. What spell is this? Why are you doing this to me?
Well, hey, let's talk about some spells then.
Hey, these are the kinds of questions that keep me up at night and make me sweat, okay? Yeah. I want my hell to become your hell. It's been a private hell.
We're going public.
I feel like that is a defining
I want to invest in your hell, actually.
I feel like that's a defining trait of members of the RPG Bot team. It's like, I am awake at night, conflicted over RPG questions.
Yep.
All right.
I know we said we weren't going to do this. Just one more little thing that we're keep going. We're going to talk about Resurrection in a second. Folks at home, we're going to describe it. It's going to be great. We'll go through the whole thing. I just want to call out Resurrection. It's a single diamond, worth at least 1,000. So if you show up, it's like, well, I got these. We could cobble them together. No.
Oh my gosh. I sincerely remembered it being diamond dust. Oh my gosh. I'm glad you said something.
No, I believe it's diamonds.
Yeah.
But a diamond worth at least 1,000 gold.
The question becomes, if you take that diamond in the real world, if you find a diamond and you send it to and you take it to different jewelry sellers, they will give you a different price for that diamond depending on how much they're willing to pay. So the question is, whose appraisal is the one that matters?
That is a great question. I'm going to say, look,
is there one guy who's certified to the great resurrection diamonds?
It's the god of
one
commerce.
company.
What one dude all the gods have hiding in a closet, and like, once a week they come out. It's like, all right, we're thinking about sending this soul back. What do you think, bud? Is this good enough? Is this gonna be go? Imagine he calls in sick one day, nobody gets resurrected that day. Anyway.
Okay, so we're gonna look at the different spell options in 5e and Pathfinder to raise creatures from the dead. We're going to look at the mechanics, what differentiates these spells, what makes them interesting, kind of try and figure out why they're different, why any of these things. Before we jump into the actual raise dead spells, I want to take a quick look at the spell Gentle Repose. So this is a first level ritual. In 5e, it's available to wizards, clerics, sorcerers, it's available to a few people. Gentle Repose prevents a body from decaying, it prevents it from being raised as undead, and the duration of the spell does not count against the time, basically the time limit for raising the creature from the dead. If a creature is kept under perpetual gentle repose, you can raise them from the dead an exceptionally long time after they die. Clever players are probably thinking, that can't possibly work with Revivify, but it does. It does work with Revivify. So if you're not quite high enough level to cast Revivify, or if you're out of 3rd level spell slots, just slap Gentle Repose on your dead buddy, haul them around until you can take a long rest, and then you can pop them right back up.
Maybe don't slap your dead buddy across the face with it, though, because that seems disrespectful.
Here's the deal, though. They're not going to take any additional damage.
That's true.
They're an object.
Bastard, how dare you? Oh, yeah, they are an object.
I don't know that I could punch hard enough to do damage to an object.
What was it? DC 10 typically, right?
Something like that.
AC 10. Yeah. Okay. So a couple dimensions that we're going to talk about as we inspect each of the spells we talk through. There's the cost of the spell. What's it going to take to get it? There's when we have access or accessibility more generally. There tends to be a time limit. So, spoiler alert, the lower level, the easier it is to access, the faster you're going to have to cast this thing. And then what happens to our good friend who is now being brought back to the dead? So as we talk about each of those spells, you'll notice that we're going to touch on each of these points. And we're going to notice some patterns.
All right. So we already mentioned Revivify. So let's start there. It's a 3rd level spell in 5e. Does not exist in Pathfinder 2, but we'll get there. So this is probably everybody's first brush with the ability to raise a creature from the dead. Takes an action to cast, touch range. You have to cast it within 1 minute of the creature dying, and then they come back at 1 hit point. If you're in any kind of dangerous situation, like this spell is so good and so essential in D&D that it's frequently considered a tax on literally anyone who can cast it. Like if you can cast it, you have to bring it because it is just too impactful to not have it for the time that you need it. You hope that you never actually cast it, but stuff happens.
We've talked about on recent episodes, it's fairly hard to die, but once you are dead, this is a pretty good window of time. What do we have? We have a minute after you die, and you can't have died from old age, so it has to have been like murder. Although, and we could talk about a little bit, maybe if you had a stroke or you had a heart attack, I would allow Revivify, because it wasn't old age. It was just, you got unlucky. It will not restore body parts. And I think that's critical, but I don't know why, because I can't find anywhere rules for having missing body parts.
There aren't any, at least in 5e. Any limb removal is generally outside of the specific confines of the rules.
That being said, there are ways that I've seen to lose a limb in 5th edition. Hell, just touching lava will probably cause your hand to become useless. Or the hand of Vecna. Cut off the hand and put on a new one. Yeah.
That has definitely never hurt anyone ever.
If you're a person maybe coming from computer-based RPGs, you're used to doing something like a Phoenix Down. You come up with a little bit of hit points, maybe not a lot, or using a similar spell that hey, you were dead or you were down, you were passed out, now you're up and you're fighting again. It's worth calling out. 5e has the hit point ping pong that we all hate. Revivify back at 1 hit point. There is no point. If somebody is just flat out killed in combat, dead in combat, we said already it's not a good idea to spend resources to heal in combat because you're going to lose the action economy on that. Revivify, worse. You're going to burn a 3rd level spell to bring somebody back to 1 hit point, only for them to basically get murdered immediately.
That's why people usually do Revivify after combat.
Yeah.
And if you can't, Gentle Repose.
Exactly. So Revivify has a couple of other interesting little mechanical bits. Usually when you attempt to raise a creature from the dead, the soul of the creature needs to be willing to return to life. Revivify is an exception. Revivify does not require a willing creature, does not require consent.
That's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
It's yes, finally, I've made peace with my life. I am ready to go to my God. Nope. You're coming back. You still have chores for us. You still have chores to do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's also a supremely messed up form of torture. Like someone who is just a prisoner and like poisons them, is forced in hard labor or something by the evil guys. They take poison to kill themselves and they're finally free. And the guy's like, yeah, no, you don't get out that easily.
That got dark.
Yeah, it did.
I told you, it can get dark. With the fact that Revivify does not require consent, it makes it incredibly messed up.
Okay, so maybe the critical thing here is not to go into too much detail, but if you were missing some critical body parts or limbs, we could probably make this less appealing.
Yes. Let's
Continue.
say yes. Anyway, Revivify also doesn't specify how it interacts with creatures that have been undead. Now, this is kind of an edge case, because usually when a creature dies, it doesn't immediately become undead and then immediately get destroyed again. But like, if you're killed by a shadow, if you're killed by a wight, if something hits you with Finger of Death, you can get turned into an undead immediately, and then your party may destroy your now undead body. It's honestly not clear what happens then. I'm inclined to believe that Revivify would raise you, as it would still work, in my opinion. Your body would be really messed up, but I don't know, give you some cool scars from that time you were a zombie for like 10 minutes.
If somebody animated you as a skeleton, no hope. Like, we're done. We all agree with that. That one's simple. As far as body parts go, the entire skin and muscle system, critical. It's up there. It's up there in the list. Okay. Zombie's interesting because I think we all have this idea in our head. Like, if I raise you as a zombie, like, you don't come back looking like Ash, like, you know, cool hair, glasses, finger snaps, like, hey, how's it going, guys? Like, that's not the zombie you come up at. You come back like skin peeling, hair half missing, knee turned the other direction. Was that part of the injury that killed you? No, just when I rose you, your leg turned around. That's what zombies look like, right?
Yeah.
So
obviously,
if I bring you back, if I unkill you or kill you, I don't know how to deal with the double negative here, but I make you from undead to just regular old dead, and then I try to revivify you. Any damage you took as a zombie probably is still an injury.
Yeah. Fortunately, 5e doesn't really have permanent injury rules, so like, you come back at 1 hit point and just hand wave that. It's all fine. It's all good, man. I realize I stabbed you in the brain to kill you as a zombie, but you're good now.
Great. That's super satisfying, and I'm glad that that's our answer. Thank you. Next.
I mentioned how PF2 doesn't have Revivify. Now, honestly, this one surprised me, because Revivify has been around since at least 3rd edition. I'm surprised that they didn't include it in PF2, but they probably realized just how good it is.
I think the reason why they avoided it is the same reason why I tend to not like Revivify. It makes death cheap, and it makes it really easy to come back from. It's such a low-level spell, and it doesn't take much, to the point. Like, it's already hard to die in 5e, but with Revivify, it's pretty much impossible. And it seems like Pathfinder 2 was leaning more towards we were tired of the health ping pong stuff, and we want that to be easier and more permanent. So the effects to raise dead are very rare. The spell Raise Dead, which we'll get to in a second, you don't get that till like, it's a 6th level spell.
Yeah.
So you don't get that for a while.
That's right.
Whatever.
Just wait until Tales of the Valiant drops in the next couple of months, and then we'll also have to say circle.
Circle, yeah.
Can you excuse me for just 1 second? I need to find my gun so I can blow my brains out.
I know.
Revivify will fix that.
Yeah.
No permanent injuries.
Oh, God. Just let me die.
This is 5th edition.
Let me embrace oblivion.
No.
You have to keep podcasting, Ash.
It's a private hell.
Okay. So, PF2 doesn't have Revivify. What we do have instead is Breath of Life. Now, it's conceptually similar to Revivify. You're going to use it as like an emergency, oh no, someone has died option. Unlike Revivify, where you've got a 1-minute timer, Breath of Life is cast as a reaction. If you don't have your reaction available, if you are not within range of the person who dies, or something is preventing you from casting spells, or any of those things, too bad. It's also a 5th level spell, so like this is serious magic. It's very expensive. You can't get it until at least level 9.
fifth level rank, Tyler.
Sorry, 5th rank. Thank you.
Or
Fifth level
fifth rank.
5th level rank. 5th rank level?
Yeah.
I was trying to be smug and it just fell apart for me.
No, it was
okay.
good. we'll all get there someday. Or we won't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we all need to play more PF2 and then it'll come to us. It's going to be great.
Yeah. What's weird about the like reaction casting timing is you have to know when the creature dies. Like you take the reaction when a creature dies, but if your DM is being coy about when the creature actually dies, that just might not work for you. If they fall down in a pool of their own blood, are they still bleeding out? Who knows?
Yeah, it says when a creature would die. I interpret that as the way I would interpret it, because, I'm not a mean DM, is that Breath of Life is kind of like a small reverse time effect. You see the person die, you're like, no, Breath of Life, and just force life into their body or something. So maybe it's like after you see them die, immediately bring them back to life, or you can think about it as like a time thing where you just reverse the flow of time. Don't be a mean DM. Don't be like, I don't know, did he die? It's a mystery.
I 100% agree. Like, if you can see the creature, you can use Breath of Life. With all the other exceptions that Tyler gave, like, do you still have your action available? Are you in the zone of silence or something like this? Whatever the case is, if you're in range, you can use it. I think it's absolutely silly for a GM to be making some kind of argument. It's like, oh, well, you weren't really sure when the poison took effect and actually killed them. It is worth saying there are situations where you can't use Breath of Life. If the triggering effect of the thing that made them be the dead is disintegrate or a death effect, you can't use Breath of Life. And so I read this as what they're going for. You lost hit points, and as a result of losing enough hit points, you are now dead, or you failed your saves. It's still saving throws. Yeah, okay. Yeah. You failed your saves, then you're dead.
It's actually not it's not a death saving throw in Pathfinder 2. It's called a recovery check.
That's right.
Recovery check. Okay. All right.
In my head, it
forgot.
was recovery save. Yeah.
Yeah. I did screw up that Pepsi, but then I was the one who was yelling about rank. So here I am. Okay. But vice versa. Like, if the thing that I did, like literally what I didn't kill you by draining you of life or reducing your HP. I killed you with death. Then Breath of Life isn't going to help us here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like straight up death effects aren't super common. It's like it's stuff like power word kill.
It's hardcore, man. Yeah. I kill you with death.
I remember I played an old video game called Dungeon Siege way long time ago and discovered that there were items that could give you resistance to death. And I thought, oh, well, great. I'm just going to have 100% resistance to death and then I can't die. Years later, looking back, it's essentially necrotic damage and they just named it terribly.
Yeah, Dark Souls and Elden Ring both have like a death effect where like you get into a pool of death and it accumulates and eventually it's just like, no, you're dead. There's a lot of things that do that to you in that game because that's kind of the theme or the game. Yeah, these style of games. But yeah, it isn't. I die enough already.
Yeah, a bit. So let's talk about the actual like raise the dead magic. Like we've gotten the piddly low level stuff. Let's get into the good stuff. We're going to talk about raise dead. This is probably the first spell that people think of when you actually think about raising a creature from the dead. Like Revivify is obviously amazing and experienced players will have it on hand, but like new players might very quickly just look right past Revivify and think, I'm never going to use that. But raise dead, that's my thing. Let's see. So since it's the lowest level option for raising creatures from the dead, it's also the least expensive compared to like True Res and stuff. Revivify is cheaper. I mean, it's 500 gold pieces from level 9 onwards in 5e. Like it's a pittance. You can afford it. You'll be fine.
Again, a diamond worth at least 500 gold.
Okay, now is it a diamond or is it diamond?
A diamond.
A diamond worth at least 500 gold. That's got to be a big freaking diamond.
And again, like imagine you were only carrying the 1000 GP diamond that day, and it's like, I was saving this.
Just shave off a chunk.
Then I gotta get it appraised. I got 9 days left.
That's true. So gold in D&D, 50 coins to a pound. A 500 gold piece diamond is worth the equivalent of 10 pounds of gold coins. They're probably not 100% gold. I'm sure they're an alloy or whatever, because gold is super soft, etc. That's got to be a big freaking diamond.
I bet.
Yeah.
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 That's big.
A diamond big enough to club somebody with.
It's basically saying, like, I love you enough to give this thing up. Imagine what this was worth. Don't worry, it was at least 500 gold.
Oh my God. I just realized this is actually kind of fun. Diamond engagement rings in D&D would be so much more powerful symbol of eternal love, because it means if you die, I can bring you back with this diamond.
It's actually, I'm carrying an insurance policy with me. That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Till death do us part, and then I'll use this ring to bring you back.
Yes, we've had first death.
It's kind of romantic.
What about second?
So Raise Dead raises creatures from the dead, which is great. Spell does have some limitations beyond just the absurdity of finding a 500 gold piece rock. It doesn't restore missing body parts. The body needs to be mostly intact. If you were stabbed through the heart and died, it'll fix that. If you're decapitated, you're out of luck. It can't return undead creatures to life, which is very important. If your character was made undead for whatever reason, your body cannot be used to raise you from the dead with Raise Dead. So if you're turned into a zombie, a shadow, a ghoul, etc., any of those things, if your body didn't go straight from you to dead body back to you, won't work.
So again, a great use of Gentle Repose, because Gentle Repose would prevent me from being made into undead. Now, if it was instantaneous, not going to help.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get targeted by Finger of Death, y'all. It sucks.
Yeah. Also, avoid shadows. Regular shadows too. Undead shadows, but also just regular shadows. Just exist in a space where you're perpetually well lit from all directions. It's the only way to be sure.
That's where they keep the knives.
All right. Let's see. So the target takes a pretty hefty penalty to everything. -4 to attacks, saves, and ability checks for a week. Not for a week. -4 penalty. It goes down by 1 every day until it disappears. But you have a huge penalty for a few days. So generally, if you're raised from the dead, plan to take a few days off before you get back to adventuring. This is actually pretty gentle compared to like what I'm used to from way back when. Peek in the Wayback Machine, Raised Dead in 3rd edition, and I'm pretty sure in previous editions, when you were raised from the dead, you permanently lost a level.
Oof. I mean, that makes sense. Like, that's a good compromise between...
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Do you get to decide which level?
Your most recent one.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool way to just drop a fighter level. Like, I needed that up front, but I don't need that anymore.
Okay. I wish.
That's fair.
They did have a contingency. If you're level 1, you just permanently lose 1 point of Constitution. Not a lot of people are going to cast Raised Dead on a level 1 character, but sometimes there's an important NPC.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
All right. So there's a penalty. It costs a great big expensive diamond. It doesn't work on undead, doesn't restore missing limbs. But other than that, Raised Dead is pretty good. Like 90% of the time, it's going to do what you need.
Okay. I want to call out maybe one small difference. It may not matter to you. It matters to me a little bit. It will remove any mundane poisons and curses. Mm-hmm. But if there are magical poisons or curses, no. Those stay put. You still have to deal with those.
Yeah, you do.
Aren't curses magical by nature?
I guess not. A disease by any other name still smells like mummy rot.
I can't think of a curse that's not magical. There are non-magical poisons and non-magical diseases, obviously, but yeah, just a weird choice.
What does it mean by mundane curse? What curse is mundane?
Yeah. Hang on.
Actually, if I look at the language, they're a little bit more clear than that. So neutralizes any poisons and cures non-magical diseases that affected the creature.
Oh.
The spell doesn't, however, remove magical diseases, curses, or similar effects. So I think maybe...
Gotcha. So yeah. It's referring to magical diseases. Curses are a separate thing. Okay. Yeah.
But I think they added curses for clarity. So somebody's like, well, I think it probably gets rid of the curse because it didn't say it doesn't.
Well, now I have new questions. What magical diseases are there? Because if I remember right, I don't think there's a single magical disease in all of 5th edition.
I can't think of one either. I was going to say mummy rot, but in 5e, mummy rot is a curse. In previous editions, it was a magical disease. Now it's a curse.
Okay. Is a curse just a magical disease? I feel like if there's any book that would have given us magical diseases, it would have been Strixhaven, the magic school.
Oh, that feels like a missed opportunity.
Why that book?
Just super
Moving
high
on.
magic. Yeah. Look,
That's fair.
if you were going to have a contagious magical disease spread around in a close space, it's going to be a magical college. Like,
That's
where?
all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
It's fair. It's valid.
So let's look at Raised Dead in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I want to point out, Pathfinder has rolled a bunch of spells that in 5e would be like separate spells. It's just, no, it's one spell. It's just, it has different effects at different spell levels rather than just like, at this level it gets plus 1d8 damage, whatever. So Raised Dead is literally all of the raise a creature from the dead spells in PF2. It makes it all very simple. Everything works exactly the same way, all the way up, except for as specified in the specific spell level. By default, it requires the creature's body to be present and quote-unquote relatively intact. So there's some subjectivity there. After being raised, the creature is clumsy 2, drained 2, and enfeebled 2 for 1 week. So that's -2 to everything strength or dexterity based. And also, you die at wounded 2, or wounded 2 or dying 2. So you don't want to get beaten up again. So take a week off, take a nice vacation. Raised Dead in 5e has a 10-day time limit. So like you have a little while to like go find your diamond, raise your friend from the dead. In PF2, the time limit is 3 days. And also Pharasma, the god of death, can just say like, no, never mind, I want this one. Which is left to the GM.
Yeah, it's literally a parenthetical at the GM's discretion, which is basically, it's like, if you need this death for plot, I got you.
Yes. Let's see. So a lot of things work based on level in PF2. Items, level instead of CR, the level of skill checks and things like that. In PF2, Raised Dead also has a cap for the target creature's level. So the higher level the creature is, the higher level Raised Dead you need to cast. If you're hanging out with creatures that are much higher level than you, it's entirely possible that you won't be able to cast Raised Dead hard enough to bring them back from the dead. Players who are hanging out at like level 16, 17, 18, whatever, they can't just hire a level 10 cleric and be like, hey, you're going to follow us around, and if somebody dies, it's your job to deal with it, because they just might not be high enough level to solve the problem for you. The GP cost scales with level. It scales exponentially, which is terrifying. I don't like that. It's very expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gets pretty expensive, yeah. Cost increases to the target's minimum level times 400.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, so
then times 800, then times 1600, then times 3200.
So the most you could do, you could cast it heightened to 10th level. You could bring back a level 21 creature, and it's going to cost you 3,200 gold.
Wait, 3,200 or 32,000?
3,200.
3,200.
Oh, that's 3,200 times
the creature's level.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for calling that out.
Yeah. So it's 67,200 GP max.
Okay, I want to make sure I interpret this correctly.
Yep.
Let's say I'm a wizard. And
doing great so far.
Okay. I'm trying to remember how my casters work in PF2. As a wizard, I have it prepared, but I have used all my 9th level spell ranks.
In PF2, the way it works is you prepare individual spells into individual spells.
That's what I was worried about. Okay. So I know with my party, I just need to prepare it into the 10th level spell slot.
Jeez, if that's what you're doing with your 10th level spell slot, man.
It's not what I want to do, but no. I don't know what's going to... I guess I have 10 days, so I could I take a nappy nap, I wake the next day, I prep, and we're good to go. Okay, all right. I don't have to rush into this. My fear was I actually have to spend the money because I only have the wrong spell slot available, but there's time to prepare. Okay, good. The world is right again.
So I will point out the level cap for the spell increases, but for Raised Dead, level cap goes up, GP cost goes up, but none of the other mechanics change. So the 3-day time limit does not get better. The requirement for a body does not get better. You don't want to use Raised Dead if you can avoid it. It is extremely painful. It's extremely expensive. The spell is also uncommon, which means you're not guaranteed to have access to it, even if you're a class that can cast divine spells. Raising creatures from the dead in PF2 is hard and should be avoided wherever possible.
Again, a Pathfinder 2 is very much leaning into that. We want death to be meaningful, easier, and more permanent.
Yeah.
Don't die in PF2.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember I can remember the exact mechanics for finding uncommon stuff in PF2. Like, you have to spend time searching for it. Your GM can just say, like, this item is not available to you either here or just at all. A lot of high-level spells that would have game-shaping consequences, like Plane Shift, Raise Dead, a couple others, they're uncommon specifically to prevent the players from messing up the story. Or if the GM does not want you plane shifting to the plane of wood to go hang out with the cool genies there, the GM can just say, like, oh yeah, you've never seen the plane shift spell and you can't find anyone who knows how to teach it to you.
I do kind of like this system because it does allow GMs to limit some of the more overpowered stuff if they aren't interested in doing that. Like, I, for one, don't tend to focus too much on planar stuff in my homebrew games, so giving my players plane shift complicates things too in a massive degree. So it's just like, plane shift doesn't exist. But in 5th edition, you might get pushback on that. It's like, but it's on my list. But here, at least Pathfinder 2 gives you an excuse to say, well, it's uncommon, which means you have to get my permission, and I'm not giving you permission. I will say, I looked up the entry for uncommon. So it does say that it does require special training or comes from a particular culture or part of the world. And some creatures that are uncommon have a higher recall knowledge DC, but which they suggest is an increase to the DC by 2.
One last thing I want to call out on Raise Dead before we move on. There's a bit of text that is in both Raise Dead and Resurrect, which we'll get to in a minute. The target is also permanently changed in some way by their time in the afterlife, such as gaining a slight personality shift, a streak of white in the hair, or a strange new birthmark. 5e doesn't have anything like this. Like, you can be killed, brought back to life, good as new, get back to adventuring. But PF2 specifically calls out, like, something happens to your character. There's no mechanical effect to it specifically, but there is some permanent change to your character because they have had I can't even say near death. They've had a death experience and it changes you.
A full death.
Yeah.
That's cool opportunity for RP though. Like, maybe somebody recognizes it's like, oh, cool streak. You do it, you die in.
I wonder if somebody sufficiently cool died and came back with white streaks in their hair, would that just affect fashion? Be like, oh yeah, it's cool to have white streaks in your hair now. Just
that'd be a fad.
Yeah. Let's move on to Resurrection. So we'll start with 5e again, because PF2's is way more complicated. In D&D, Resurrection is a linear upgrade from Raise Dead. Like, at least as long as I have been playing, there is Raise Dead, Resurrection, True Resurrection, and they are like 3 steps in getting really good at raising people from the dead. You want to use the cheapest option possible, generally, but you'll very frequently be forced to use higher level options because shenanigans occur. Resurrection in 5e does still require a body to touch, but it restores mortal wounds and missing limbs. So it's not really clear how much of a body you need.
I mean, a piece. We've got like a real ship of Theseus thing happening here, right?
Yeah. If I just have a finger, is that enough and I can restore the rest of the body? As a GM, I would probably say no, because you have the part of the missing limb. You don't have the main part of the body. But if you just have like the trunk, the torso, the head, you'll get all the limbs back, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I do think it takes like a bit of thought here. Like, imagine somebody was literally blown to bits and just everywhere, and everybody take an arm and a leg. Okay. So 4 different people take an arm and a leg. We each go. I guess the way to rule this is the first one to get and pay for it and cast the spell is actually going to resurrect the person, bring the person back, stuff them back into the body that is newly reconstructed. Everybody else is going to be sad. So I can't clone people using this because there's still only one soul to put back in.
That is true. Yes.
Okay. So that's fine. In that case, I don't care. Bring me any body part. Okay. Fingernail, fingertip, the tip of the nose.
Just insurance policy. Just clip your fingernails and hand them to every cleric you meet.
Yeah, that would be like,
keep a hold of this.
I can imagine running a one shot or a short arc where the entire adventure is like, in this box, surrounded by coins to hide it, is the fingertip of the most wanted person in this world. And what I need you to do is go to this kingdom where they're welcome so somebody can resurrect them. I have bad news. You only have 100 years.
I mean, 100 years feels like enough time. Pass it down to your children.
Yeah.
Why are we raising this guy? Who knows? Very important, though.
I mean, trying to find a fingernail in like big area might take you 100 years. That's fair.
It's true.
I wonder, like, do you have to have conviction that you know who you're raising, or you have a general idea of who you're raising? Like, one, if I just go find a body part and I'm like, this person, I want them back. Is that going to work?
Yeah, you find a random arm somewhere and you're just like, this could be interesting. I want to cast resurrection on this arm and see if someone cool comes back.
Well, it says you just touch a dead creature that has been dead for no more than a century. So yeah, yes, you can do exactly that.
I love that. That's great. Like, you go to a dragon's lair, you kill the dragon, you pull out like, a hand or something. It's like, I bet this guy was cool. Let's bring him back.
Turned out it was just a farmer. It was a cool farmer, but it was a farmer. I'm imagining the worst case where like you do resurrection on somebody and you bring them back and it's the wrong person. Like, you were sure this limb belonged to that person.
Or no, the worst case scenario would be you take a hand, you cast resurrection on it, and it's just Koss.
Oh no.
It's Koss, and he kills you. He's like, thanks for bringing me back. You're dead now.
So I want to point out the second sentence of resurrection is, if its soul is free and willing, the target returns to life, yada yada. So there's two requirements there. The soul must be free and the soul must be willing. So free. There are a few things in D&D that can trap a soul. The spell jar, other nonsense. I believe if the creature is turned into an ethereal undead, you might count that. Like, if they are a ghost, you could argue that they can't be resurrected.
Unless I put the soul to rest, the ghost.
There you go. Yeah. Night hags can take your soul, put it in a bag, and turn you into a demon larva slug thing. Yeah, there's bad things.
Don't like that.
Yes. Yeah. What a way to go. There are bad things that can happen to your soul that can prevent you from being resurrected. Now, super frustrating when you cast these spells, even if they fail, unless it specifies otherwise, the material component is still consumed. So you get a 1000 GP gem, like a diamond the size of your fist. You cast resurrection to hopefully bring back some long dead hero or whatever. And they're like, nah, heaven's great. This is your problem. And they can just refuse to be raised. You get no feedback and the spell simply fails.
Well, this is something that Pathfinder 2 has an advantage over in 5th edition, because with the resurrect ritual, they have to be willing, and Pharasma has to be willing to let them go. If they don't, it fails, but you don't consume the materials in order to cast it. So
yeah, which is really nice. Like, that's such a good quality of life improvement.
Yeah.
I mean, at least there's risk in 5e. Like, we've been talking about the fact that there isn't a lot of risk to life. Like, you're probably not going to stay dead, but here's a place where you could lose something. A very large diamond.
Oh, there's risk in the Pathfinder 2 resurrect ritual. Should we talk about it?
We'll get because there. All right. One last thing on 5e resurrection. Casting this spell to restore life to a creature that has been dead 1 year or longer taxes you greatly. Until you finish a long rest, you can't cast spells again, and you have disadvantage on all attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws. So, like, you really do not want to do this on a day that you're adventuring. And they come back with that -4 penalty, just like Raised Dead. So, like, plan to take a vacation. This is a vacation-worthy event.
Downtime.
Now let's talk about Resurrect in PF2, because it is real cool.
Yeah. So there's these things in called rituals in Pathfinder 2. People who play Pathfinder 1 might be familiar with rituals, but these work a little bit differently. Basically, the way it works is you have to know the ritual. You don't have to be a spellcaster in order to learn the ritual. You just have to know it. And it has to be half your level rounded up before you can use it. So Resurrect is a 5th rank ritual, which means that the soonest you could learn it is 10th level. And basically, a resurrection it has a primary caster and it might have secondary casters, which means people assisting you with the resurrection. In Pathfinder 2, it requires 2 secondary casters. It is cheaper than Raised Dead. You only need diamonds worth a total value of 75 gold pieces times the target's level.
Much
So
cheaper.
better than 200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 3,200. Good God.
God, Jesus. I mean, the gold piece cost does go up if you heighten it, but not nearly as ridiculous. Yeah. So the thing that's weaker about it than Raised Dead, you can, at its base level, you can resurrect a creature that's 13th level or lower. This you can only resurrect base level 10th level or lower. And unlike with Raised Dead, it doesn't automatically work. You have to make a check. That's how rituals work. You have a primary spellcaster who makes the relevant check for them, and then the secondary casters can't have a choice of checks that they can do. So for Resurrect, you need the primary caster needs to make a religion check, and they can't do it unless they are expert. So if you are anything but expert in religion, sorry, you can't be the primary spellcaster on this ritual.
I assume expert or better.
Expert or better, yeah.
What?
At least expert, yeah. Secondary checks, though, they can choose between medicine or society, which is weird. I don't know why society, but okay. But yeah, same stuff as Raised Dead. Pharasma has to be willing, the soul has to be willing. So the different effects are, if you critically succeed, they get all their hit points back. They are cured of any long-term. They're still suffering long-term debilitations. They have the same spells prepared and points in the pools of their abilities, like focus charges and that kind of stuff that they had when they died. So it's not like you get all your spell slots back. You get as many spells prepared as you had when you died. It does say that coming back from the afterlife changes you in some way. So either a personality shift or a streak of white hair or a new birthmark, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. It's the same as Raised Dead, and it is fantastic.
Yeah. It's great. It's a great flavor. Also, on a critical success, they get inspired, so they get a +1 status bonus to attack rolls, perception, saving throws, and skill checks for 1 week, which is awesome. Yeah. Success is less cool. You only come back at 1 HP. You don't get any of your pool of abilities back. You don't have any of the spells prepared, and you get that same status penalty. It's less brutal than is for Raised Dead. You still get clumsy, drained, and enfeebled, but they're only clumsy, drained, and enfeebled 1 rather than clumsy, drained, and enfeebled 2.
Yeah.
Still lasts a week. Failure, you just don't succeed.
And that's as bad as it gets, right?
Nope. Critical failure is real bad. Yeah. So if you critically fail, something goes horribly wrong. An evil spirit possesses the body. The body transforms into a special kind of undead, or some worse fate befalls the target.
Woof. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's a risk. It's a very risky ritual. You have to be real positive that you're not going to at least fail on that. Because if you fail, it sucks. But at least your buddy's not going to turn into an undead who's going to try to kill you.
Yeah.
So I think there's a couple things that are worth pointing out here. So again, this ritual can be cast heightened.
Yes.
The money scaling for it is strictly better than Raised Dead. So the most expensive version, if you remember, for Raised Dead, heightened 10, we said it would be 3,200 times the target's level.
Their level.
For the ritual, heightened 10, the most expensive is 1,000
just at that
times the
times
level.
the target's level.
Or is it times the level?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always times the level. It's just the base cost. So a 20th level creature that you bring back would only be 20,000 gold as opposed to 60,000.
Yeah.
Much better. Much better.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. The other aspect of it, so the target has to be a dead creature of up to 10th level for the base level ritual. Once we get to heightened 7th, you can use Resurrect even with only a small portion of the body. The ritual creates a new body.
So there we go, passing out fingernails.
On a successor critical success.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at 9th level, you can resurrect even without the body as long as you know the target's name and have touched a portion of its body at any time.
So what is...
you have to have touched a portion of its body. That's interesting. I missed that detail.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It also requires more secondary spellcasters, both for the 7th level version and for the 9th level version. And you can at a 9th level, you can resurrect someone who's died within the last century. 7th level, you can resurrect someone who's died within the past decade. So that's good.
Yeah. So all these things are climbing.
Yeah.
Like, even just the base version of the ritual has a time limit of a full year, so like much more generous than Raised Dead in 5e.
Yeah. In Pathfinder 2.
Well,
Pathfinder 2.
Yeah. Like, Raised Dead in 5e, it's 10 days. Raised Dead in PF2, it's 3 days. So yeah, a full year, way more generous than either.
Yeah. Don't use Raised Dead in Pathfinder 2. Resurrect is strictly better.
Yeah. If you have someone who can cast rituals in the party, yeah.
Well, but it's worth calling out, for instance, like let's look at heightened 9th. Like you said, we have to have, 8 secondary casters. So immediately, even if everybody in the party qualifies, we probably still need more people. Either that or I do not want to be at your gaming table. Okay, so we're going to have to get some NPCs involved. We're going to bring them in. So high level, we should do an episode on rituals in PF2. They're cool enough that we could just do that. But that being said, to just a little teaser for that, the secondary caster, before the primary caster makes their check, each of these 8 secondary casters are going to make a roll. If they fail, the primary caster is going to take a -4 circumstance penalty to the primary check. So imagine you're good to go, you're geared up, you're ready to go. 5 of the secondary casters fail. We're starting with a -20. Even if the others critically succeed, you're getting a +2 on critical success. So net, you're probably losing from the secondary.
Does the penalty have a type?
You take a -4 circumstance penalty.
Okay, so penalties of the same type don't stack, just like bonuses of the same type don't stack. So it's at most a -4 penalty, but then you could get a +2 from someone getting a critical success. You still end up with a -2 total, which sucks, but it's not as bad as -20. Yeah.
So let's say they split, and or I had 1 -4 and 7 +2s.
Then you take the highest bonus and the largest penalty.
Okay. Yeah. That's not as bad as I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the base like stacking rules in PF2.
Otherwise it becomes harder. I don't know. I'd have to double check that. Also, the other reason why you shouldn't cast Raised Edge and you should just cast Resurrection is you don't need to be a spellcaster to learn it.
Yeah.
Like the Barbarian could cast Resurrect. So yeah, as long as you know the ritual, you can do it.
I don't think we mentioned the 10th level version, but the 10th level version, it says it doesn't matter how long ago the target died. So centuries, millennia, doesn't matter. It does take 16 secondary casters, each of whom must be at least half the target's level. So like just finding those people is a massive barrier to entry. But the fact that there is a possibility to resurrect an ancient person who died of unnatural causes at any point in history, that's kind of neat.
But you either have to have a body part remaining, or you had to have touched the. Or do you still have to have touched the body?
No. 9th and 10th,
no.
As long as you know the target's. Oh, you do have to have touched a part of the body. Interesting.
Yeah,
okay, so yeah, like if you can find like an ancient saint's bones or whatever and be like, boop, I have touched it. Now I'm going to raise you from the dead. Like you're golden.
Yeah, it's like we need Jesus back. We really do. So I'm going to resurrect him. I hope that's cool. I would say Jesus is probably a 20th level creature. So yeah, we need to find 10th level casters to help with this.
Everybody expects a cleric. Turns out druid.
Those dang tree huggers are the ones that brought the Lord and Savior back to life.
All right. Speaking of, I don't know how to transition from that. True resurrection.
All right. So Resurrect in PF2, like the 9th and 10th level versions, are PF2's answer to 5e's True Resurrection. This costs 25,000 gold pieces in diamonds. Now I'm going to double check because I got it wrong with the other spells. Okay. Sprinkle of Holy Water, diamonds. There's an S there, worth at least 25,000 gold pieces. Thank God. So you can just get like sacks and sacks and sacks of diamonds for this thing. 25,000 gold pieces. It doesn't have any of the drawbacks of the lower level spells. So like you don't lose the ability to cast spells if they've been dead a long time. Nobody takes any penalties. None of that. There's a 200-year time limit. So this is like, saintly order of blank. We're going to resurrect blank and make sure they're cool. It removes all of the nasty effects on the target, including magical diseases and curses. And Raise Dead and Resurrection both specify that it doesn't work on an undead creature. True Resurrection will return an undead creature to life. So there's some possibility that you could cast True Resurrection on an undead creature and skip straight from like it is an undead to it is what it was in life, like boop Strahd, turn them back into a human.
Still Strahd.
Still Strahd, less evil? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, casting True Resurrection on Strahd would be interesting.
Yeah, the only problem is it takes an hour to cast.
Keep him occupied.
Yeah. Let's see. So you don't need a body. Okay, you touch a creature that has been dead for no longer than 200 years, but the last paragraph, the spell can even provide a new body if the original no longer exists. So like if the body is out there somewhere, you have to find it. But if the body has been melted, destroyed, blown up, scattered to the winds, etc.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's an important note. And so again, like if I'm the big baddie and I want to make sure that you can't, I make sure that I keep the thumb. I put that in my pocket.
You have to have the entire body because if they can touch any part of the body, it'll restore the rest of the body.
It'll still work. Yeah, I just have to prevent you from getting access to the body. Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
which,
I'll write that down.
boy, that gives you a really, really good reason to like if you execute somebody nasty or if they die in battle or whatever, it's like we can never have this person come back from the dead. You take their body, you put it at the bottom of a dungeon, and suddenly dungeons make sense in D&D. Why do people keep building these awful, awful places? Oh, it's to avoid true res. There's one last option for raising creatures from the dead that I want to hit because it's an oddball. Druids notably can't cast Raise Dead, Resurrection, or True Resurrection. So like they can't do all of the things that a cleric does. What they get instead is Reincarnate. Now, Reincarnate is a super oddball spell. It's 5th level, just like Raise Dead, takes an hour, just like Raise Dead. You have to touch a dead humanoid or a piece of a dead humanoid, which is interesting and arguably better than Raise Dead. It does have a 10-day limit, again, just like Raise Dead. But where it gets odd is it fashions a new body for the creature to inhabit, which and this is the words of the spell, which likely causes the creature's race to change. And then you roll on a D100 table to find out what their new race is. Now, since this was published in the player's handbook, all of the race options are from the player's handbook, but it is entirely likely that you will come out with a really, really weird race combination. And since this was published like way before the custom origin rules, you would come out and be like, yes, I'm now a race that doesn't have an intelligence bonus, so I'm suffering as a wizard now.
I built this thing for elven accuracy, and now I'm dealing with dwarven height.
It's budget True Resurrection is basically what it is.
Kinda. I'm not even sure if it goes that far.
It could be somebody's dream, though.
Yeah.
Imagine like we build that gnome barbarian that we've been talking about, and then one day it's like you wake up and you're a Goliath.
That would be nice.
Not on the list. Not on the list.
It's not.
Would you be offended if somebody said they wanted to make an updated table? Like I'll roll, but we're going to roll with everything.
That would be cool. That would be fun. At least then you'd get something really surprising most of the time. I have actually been reincarnated. Remember the capitalist paladin that I've told stories about? I'm sure you do. I've bored you with them. The reason I retired that character was because upon their second death, they were reincarnated. The character was built around using a medium-sized polearm so I could get reach and do nonsense. I came back as a halfling. I was now too short to use my weapon, so most of my build just absolutely didn't work. So I said, you know what? Retiring the character. I'm building a druid as punishment for this person who just reincarnated me.
That's too funny. So I want to touch briefly on, there is reincarnate in Pathfinder 2 as well. And it is like the budget resurrect ritual. It's a ritual as well. Okay. 3rd level instead of 5th level. It's even cheaper to do. You don't need diamonds anymore. You just need rare herbs that are worth the total value of the target's level times 25 gold pieces.
It's downright
very cheap and affordable.
Yeah. I have to say, I've seen Tyler and Amy buy like $30 of parsley before. You would not believe how large that satchel of herbs would be to get to like the 1,000 gold total it's going to take to bring something back at a higher level. It's like that person, I roll up with the wagons, like ready to do the ritual. Herbs are not dense.
No.
They're cheap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're very cheap. But it also gives you a week limit, time limit, not a year. And heightening it only gets you to has to die within the past decade. So a bit of a shorter time limit. It also does give you a new body, but instead of rolling on a table, you roll a d20. On a result of 1 through 14, they get a common ancestry. On a 15 through a 20, they get an uncommon or rare ancestry appropriate for the area that the GM chooses. And it kind of leaves it up to the GM to decide how they want to determine that.
Interesting.
You also lose your heritage and any ancestry feats. You get replacement feats from your new ancestry. But your background, class features, and known languages stay the same. The effects for it are very similar on successes. So you get full HP if you critically succeed, and you get the same spells prepared. You don't get inspired, though. On a success, we're back to clumsy 2, drain 2, and enfeebled 2 rather than 1. The funniest part, though, is if you critically fail.
Okay.
I love this. So if you critically fail, the target's soul becomes trapped in an unintelligent animal creature of the GM's choosing with a level no greater than half the target's level. While trapped, the target has an intelligence score of 1 and can't use any of their own abilities.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
It's brutal. So you could just be stuck into the body of a sheep. It's like, Bill, is that you?
Oh, no.
This is the scene from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Turned him into a horny
They
toad.
turned into a horny toad. Oh man!
Again,
that is a way that witches could definitely mess with some people. I bet it's like kill their friend and then reincarnate him and intentionally critically fail the check to turn him into a toad.
We don't know what went wrong.
I don't know. It's weird.
PPB in the chat. She turned me into a newt. You're not a newt now.
I got better. Better anyway. Better.
That would be a cool story arc, though. Again, like I'm having too much fun with that. Like, imagine maybe it's an NPC, maybe it's a character who like has to be away for a while, and so what you've got to do is you got to get this horny toad to somebody who can actually resurrect them when you kill them again.
I don't know. You could just ask the druid to try again.
But then you find out that the reincarnate ritual did work, but they were like they revived somewhere else, and you just carried around a useless toad.
When they're finally able to join the game again. What's up, guys? Nice toad.
Yeah. Similar to what happened to No Brother Where
Yeah.
where they thought he was a horny toad and he was just arrested.
This week, we have a question of the week. Our question of the week comes to us from Bumba Bro.
That name will never not be funny.
With spellcasters so heavily dominating the meta, what would your method be to bring martial characters up to snuff? Alternatively, what would your solution be to not having spellcasters be leagues ahead of martial classes?
Just play Pathfinder 2. No, I would say, I think if you really wanted to hamper spellcasters, this isn't how I would recommend doing it. But one way you could do is you could nerf it to a similar, just make the process of spellcasting less flexible, like how Pathfinder 2 does it, where you have a certain amount of spell repertoire, and if you want to upcast it, you have to relearn that spell over and over again. Or the spells that you memorize are also the spells that are part of that. So if you want to cast multiple fireballs, you have to prepare it multiple times. So that's part of why Pathfinder 2 spellcasters are not as powerful or like overwhelmingly powerful as they are in 5th edition, because they don't have as insane flexibility. But that's not a great solution to that. Just play Pathfinder 2 if you're going to do that way. I would say, I think the direction that the 2024 rules is going in is definitely the right way to go about it. Like, weapon masteries is definitely going to make martials more fun to play. I wouldn't say that they are going to be more powerful. They do have more buttons to push and have more flexibility than spellcasters. But at the end of the day, fifth edition, to fix the problem, the disparity between martials and spellcasters requires a complete rethinking of how 5th edition does its rules. And I don't think there's just like, oh, it's simple, you just do this. That's unfortunately, there's no easy solution to that. you have to fundamentally revamp the entire rule set.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. The thing I was going to call out is I am excited about what we're seeing in 2024. I do think it's going to help, especially the flexibility that they're talking about, for instance, giving the fighter class. I'm optimistic. I'm looking forward to seeing in action. It'll at least be fun versus maybe being as repetitive as it can be to play classes like, oh, I attack and then I attack again.
Yeah. Also, another thing that I think that would help, this is less of an issue I found in like Baldur's Gate 3. And one of the reasons why I think marshals are able to compete with spellcasters on the way that they are is there are a lot more magic items that are specifically geared towards marshals and give them either cool abilities or add to their damages and stuff like that, which really makes them powerful and can make a lot of fun builds. 5th edition doesn't really have very good martial focused items. It does feel like 5th edition does have a bit of caster favoritism because there are some really cool magic items for casters that give you like free spells or other things. As a fighter, what do I get? Like, oh, I get a sword that hits harder and maybe has an aura of light around it. Cool. Let's have a little bit more interesting magical items that are specifically geared towards marshals, and that would be a really easy way to sort of bridge that gap a little bit more.
Yeah. What if I just got, I don't know, maybe one new weapon?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you both. The reason spellcasters are so like there's so many leagues ahead of marshals in 5e is a spellcaster can very frequently win an entire fight with one spell, and then everything else after that is cleanup. But you will always look back at that fight and say, like, yeah, we won that fight. Other stuff happened, but the defining moment of the fight was when the wizard cast Fireball in turn 1 and did enough damage to have the encounter. So either you need to like significantly reduce the effectiveness of spells, which would require rewriting every spell there is. You need to restrict the flexibility of spellcasters. Like maybe you reduce the number of spells you can prepare per day. Maybe you go back to old school Vancian spellcasting, like PF2 has it, where like you prepare a spell in a spell slot. So you pick exactly the spells you're going to cast for the day, and that's it. No flexibility beyond there. Maybe you limit it so you can only change one prepared spell per day. So like wizards can't wake up and be like, yes, I know exactly what we're doing today. Here's all of the exact spells I'll need. I'm going to solve every problem. At the very least, then you can be like, oh yeah, you guys are going to have to go into this dungeon real quick. The wizard still has like a bunch of spells for like studying and cooking and cleaning and things like that. So yeah, good luck. An easy solution that I'm not 100% certain will work. Tasha's introduced... Well, let's see. The Essentials Kit introduced sidekick rules, right? And then Tasha's updated them, gave us sidekicks all the way up to level 20. You could replace the spellcasting classes with the sidekick rules classes. Now that makes everybody a half caster. So like, again, think long and hard before you actually try this. But you effectively get wizard as a half caster, sorcerer as a half caster, druid, cleric, warlock. They still get the same spell list. They're going to have different class features. So you might want to think about that a little bit. But even just like, okay, you could just take wizard, just make them a half caster, and then try that. Because their spells are still going to be really powerful. First and second level spells are still really, really impactful. But the slower spell progression, like delaying those huge spells a few levels, means that the martial characters and what they're doing is going to feel a lot more impactful because the spellcasters can't afford to just nuke every encounter in turn 1.
One thing that's just idea that came to me, one really easy, if you want a really easy way to make spellcasters and marshals have about bridge the gap between them, an easy way you can do that is use the gritty realism rules in the DMG. Because suddenly your martial classes are way more valuable because they get most of their features back on a short rest. Your wizard, he casts a fireball. He's like, I hope you are good with that fireball because you're not getting it back for a week.
Yeah.
It fundamentally also just makes spellcasting feel more impactful because when you're casting the spells, it's like an event and it's something that you know is going to help in a certain way rather than just the really easy, like complacent wizard syndrome where it's just like, I can do everything. You're just my bodyguard sort of situation. now you're relying on marshals whose capabilities never really go down, while yours is constantly it's a battle of attrition for you as a caster. But it doesn't make the caster feel like they're being nerfed. It makes them feel like they have to be more careful about what spells they use in their time adventuring. And so it makes it, when those spells are cast, they feel cool and more impactful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we actually had to put that in on the campaign that we're running. We're not doing exactly gritty realism, but essentially the time between long rest has been stretched tremendously. And it's had exactly the impact. Like folks are literally talking about in combat, like preserving resources, because when they're out, and things are going to be tough. And they've had that happen recently.
Yeah. And we never know when the next long rest is coming. And we have had situations where we're supposed to have a long rest and didn't, and it bit us. So
yeah.
Once bitten, several times shy.
Well, what's really funny though, okay, just to tell on folks. So they did get a long rest recently, like finally. People were getting to it. It's like, I got one first level spell slot left. Like that was kind of the point that we were at. The very next significant encounter they were in, they had a plan. They were going to put this creature to sleep. And so everybody's like, okay, well, we're going to put it to sleep. So just, soften it up, marshals, and then we'll preserve resources. Every caster casts a second level spell at it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just making eye contact with Tyler through the screen. It's like, this is great. It's making my job easy.
I didn't. I stabbed the guy. I didn't even use my gun.
Yeah. All hail the Leisure Illuminati. I'm Randall James. You'll find me at amateurjack.com and on Twitter and Instagram at jackamateur.
I'm Tyler Campster. You'll find me on RPGBOT.net, Facebook, Twitter, RPGBOT.Net, and most other socials as RPGBot.
I'm Ash Eli. You'll find me casting True Resurrection on Long Dead Memes on Twitter at Graven Ashes, or you can follow me on YouTube at Ash Raven Media, or you can resurrect an old game with me on startplaying.games. Links in the description. Yeah, that one wasn't as good.
The first one was really good.
The first part.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, the first one was very good. The second one, not so good.
Wait, does that mean you're like resurrecting first edition Call of Cthulhu or something?
No.
Okay.
But if you have here's what I was trying to get across was, if you have a premise for a game that died for whatever reason, but you were really attached to that game idea, I can run it for you. I can resurrect it.
Okay, good. Now that you explain the joke, it is a lot better. That's usually how that happens.
Yeah.
Because that's how jokes work.
That's
right?
my experience, yeah. If you've enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on Apple Podcast and rate us on Spotify or your favorite podcast app. It's a quick, free way to support the podcast and helps us reach new listeners. You'll find links in the show notes. You'll find affiliate links for source books and other materials linked in the show notes, as well as on RPGBOT.net. Following these links helps us to make the show happen every week. If your question should be the question of the week next week, please email podcast@RPGBOT.net or message us on Twitter at RPGBOT.Net. Please also consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can find all kinds of great rewards. At any tier, you'll get early access to RPGBOT.content and polls for future content. At our $3 tiers, you'll enjoy your choice of ad-free access to RPGBOT.net or ad-free podcast episodes and access to the live stream podcast recordings. At our $5 tiers and above, you'll get all of that, plus access to the RPGBOT.Discord. You'll find us at patreon.com/RPGBot.
I'm amazed you did all of that without making enough noise for the microphone to pick it up. And in an RPGBot shirt, no less.
Yeah. Gotta represent, man.
All right, so we had to cut it for time, but for folks listening at home, yes, we are aware that Matt Mercer published some really interesting rules for raising the dead that requires skill check with an increasing DC for each time a creature is raised to make it difficult to raise creatures from the dead repeatedly. Yes, we know that's a thing. It'll be linked in the show notes. Yes, they are cool. Yes, I like them. No, I have not used them, but I will.
I mean, they're basically like the resurrect rules from Pathfinder 2, so just steal those.
They're close, yeah.
They're close, yeah.